Hi, thanks for joining us. My name is Jessica Bergman.
And I'm Erin O'Neill.
And we work for the Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to give you a brief introduction into the Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge and highlight some energy saving tips that will save you money on your utility bills. On this episode, we will focus on residential lighting and recent changes to federal lighting standards. Before I go any further, I'd like to give you a little background information about our program in case you're unfamiliar with our work. The Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge is a community savings program that engages residents in 14 communities across the state of Connecticut, helping them reduce their energy use by 20%. The program is made possible by a $4.1 million grant from the U.S. Department of Energy, funded as a part of the Better Buildings Neighborhood Program. Our goal is to help residents across our 14 communities reduce their energy usage by 20%. While 20% might not sound like a large number, in reality it is. Behavior changes alone only net about 3% of energy savings. So to reach the 20%, we encourage people to upgrade their homes and to implement further energy efficiency upgrades. The Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge is a coalition of nonprofit and state entities working together to educate residents about existing state energy efficiency programs. When we reach our goal of 20%, we will keep more than $115 million in the Connecticut economy. In Wethersfield, our goal is to engage over 1,000 households in the Neighbor to Neighbor program. The 14 communities consist of Bethany, Cheshire, East Haddam, East Hampton, Glastonbury, Mansfield, Portland, Lebanon, Ridgefield, Weston, Westport, Wethersfield, Wilton, and Windham. We do promote existing state programs, so if you live in Connecticut, you can participate in most of these programs. What makes the Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge so special is that the towns that are participating earn points by getting households to reduce home energy waste through their energy-saving actions. We also serve as a comprehensive resource for residents on home energy efficiency. The 14 towns do compete against each other, and as you can see, Wethersfield is currently in 4th place. As part of our Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge, as I mentioned before, we encourage people to reduce their energy consumption by 20%. So this includes not only making behavior changes, like taking shorter showers, switching out your switches when you're not using them, but also changing out your incandescents for CFLs, getting a home energy assessment, and making improvements to your home. Neighbor to Neighbor actually offers a program, free lighting program. It's paid for by our grant from the Department of Energy, and part of this program is that our Clean Energy Corps members will come to your home and change out up to 25 of your incandescent light bulbs for CFLs. We see that when you change out your incandescents for CFLs, you typically will save between $125 and $150 annually. And our Clean Energy Corps is certified in energy efficient residential lighting, and they're doing this as part of their year of service. Okay. So you might be wondering, why should I switch out my incandescents for CFLs? 10 to 15% of your electricity consumption actually comes from the lighting in your home, which for the average Connecticut homeowner amounts to about $200 to $300 annually. And it's important to switch out your bulbs because CFLs, LEDs, they use less energy than a traditional incandescent light bulbs. They're also recyclable, they conserve resources, and the technology has improved, and we do have specialty bulbs now available to purchase. As part of the Energy Independence and Security Act, which was passed in 2007, the government is phasing out incandescent bulbs, and this began in January of 2012. And this act actually sets minimum energy efficiency standards for light bulbs, and it will be completed by the year 2014. And so we're very lucky in these 14 communities to have the Neighbor to Neighbor program, because we will teach you how to purchase bulbs for your fixtures, and we'll also switch your incandescents to CFLs for free.
So CFLs provide a really fantastic solution to the federal phase-out of incandescent light bulbs. As we've mentioned before, Neighbor to Neighbor offers a free lighting program. Certified Clean Energy Corps members, 2 of them, will come into your home for about an hour to an hour and a half and replace up to 25 of your incandescents for CFLs. This is available to all Wethersfield residents. You can rent your residence, you can own, you can live in an apartment or a regular house. You just have to be a resident of the town. So during this visit, we'll teach you a number of things. We'll teach you how to properly dispose of your CFLs, how to purchase your CFLs, because people generally have questions about how to go about doing this. Color temperature is another important issue that we'll teach people about. Some people tend to purchase their CFLs and the color isn't quite the same as the incandescent that they've purchased. And when you have the 2 mixed in the same room, it tends to kind of create a bizarre looking light. And we'll also show you where you want to replace your light bulbs to get the greatest energy savings in your home. So a couple things to look at when you're purchasing CFLs after we finish our lighting visit in your home. First thing is the color temperature. This is how warm or cool the light is. So the temperature range is between 2700 Kelvin to 6000 Kelvin, 2700 being a really nice warm yellow light that you get from an incandescent, 6000 being the really kind of harsh blue lighting that you sometimes see in like hospitals. So when you're purchasing your CFL, you want to look for somewhere between 2700 and 3200 Kelvin. And that will give you about the same color temperature as an incandescent. The next thing you want to look for is the brightness or the light output or lumens. This is the most important thing. Some people say that they purchase CFLs and they're a little bit dim. So you really want to look at the lumens on the packaging. For a 60 watt equivalent, you want about 8 or 850 lumens in your CFL. Pardon me, CFL. And you can kind of go by general rule of thumb. If you're purchasing a CFL for an incandescent replacement, you divide by between 3 and 4. So if you're looking to replace a 60 watt light bulb, you want between generally 13 and 14 watts for your CFL. And so you can get started today in switching out and getting your home to have more efficient lighting. Sign up for your free lighting visit through the Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge and tell your friends about it. You can sign up at our website, which is www.ctenergychallenge.com/lighting.
Okay, great, thank you. So Aaron actually brought a little demonstration, so I was wondering if you could just explain to people at home what you have here.
Sure. So this is something that we bring along with us to some of our events at Neighbor to Neighbor. This is our lighting box, and what you see here is an incandescent light bulb, a compact fluorescent with a little cap on it, so it looks pretty much just like a regular incandescent light bulb, and also an LED. So this is the least efficient light that you can have, and the LED is the most efficient light that you can have. LEDs are generally 98% more efficient than an incandescent, and a CFL is generally about 75% more efficient than a CFL, or than an incandescent. And so we can turn on the light. This is the incandescent. This is the CFL. And this is the LED, which doesn't want to turn on. None of them want to turn on right now. But so they're all about equivalent wattages. As you could see, they all turned on right away, except for the LED. But so these two are about comparable in terms of pricing. LEDs are a little bit more expensive, but as we've seen, the trend for the pricing for the LEDs has come down significantly, and it is continuing to go down over time.
Okay, so what about when I touch it? I feel like when I touch this one, it still feels a little bit warm, and that one's cool to the touch.
That's correct. So the reason part of the reason incandescents are so efficient, or you can tell that they're so inefficient, is because they get really hot when you touch them like that. This is significantly more efficient when you touch it. It stays cool for much longer, and these are pretty much always cool to the touch. So that's a good indicator of how efficient your lighting is how hot it gets when you turn it on. And
do these all have the same color temperature on display?
Yep, these all have the same color temperature. I think when we turned on the first two, you could see that they looked about the same. So.
Great, well thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
We do want to transition a little bit to some of the frequently asked questions that we get in the field. And since Aaron is certified in efficient lighting, I would like to ask you just some basic questions.
Sure.
So I was wondering if you could tell me, you touched on this briefly during the presentation, about the lighting program, what you do when you go into a visit.
Sure. So during our visits, they're about an hour to an hour and a half. We'll call and schedule you with you ahead of time. We generally schedule our visits Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays between 9 a.m. and sometimes as late as 7 p.m. So we'll go to your house. It's about an hour to an hour and a half visit. We'll sit down with you. We'll explain the programs, talk to you about what we're going to be doing in your house. Then we'll walk around with you to see which rooms you use the most. We'll kind of figure out what your highest usage rooms are so that you can see the greatest energy savings just from this quick visit. And I don't know what they're telling me. Scoot in. Moving to your we'll switch out your light bulbs for you. At the end of the visit, we'll plug all of the information into a little bit of, what we call a savings estimate worksheet. And based on state averages, this kind of comes up with what we estimate you'll see in energy savings, dollar savings, and also carbon dioxide emissions avoided. So. And then we'll also give you information about some of the other existing state programs that folks can take advantage of.
Great. And what type of bulbs are available through this program?
So we have available 60, 75, and 100 watt equivalent CFLs. We also have three-way CFLs that do 75, 100, and 150 watt equivalents. We also have some recessed lighting that we can install. And we also have A-line bulbs. So what we saw in the lighting box, we can also install those in homes.
That's great. And this program is free?
It's completely free. Yeah, it's just one of the perks of signing up through Neighbor.
Okay, and is it only Weathersfield?
No, any of our 14 communities can participate in this program. This is not one of the state programs that we promote, so you do have to be one of the residents of one of the 14 communities.
Okay, great. And we have some other frequently asked questions that we hear a lot in the field, as I mentioned before. One thing that you touched on briefly when you were speaking was about the color of the light in the CFLs.
Yes.
People mention that they don't always like it. So can you talk a little bit about what they can do about that?
Sure. So that's something that is really important when you're purchasing any kind of lighting, really. Is looking at the color temperature. As I mentioned, the temperature scale for the color of the light ranges from 2,700 to 6,000, and that's rated on kelvins. So 2,700 is that really nice warm light that you get from an incandescent. 6,000 is like a very blue kind of harsh lighting that you'd see maybe in like a hospital, which most people generally don't want in their house. Yeah. So if you're purchasing CFLs for your home, you want to look for ones that have a color temperature of between 2,700 and 3,200 Kelvin. It should say somewhere on the box, it'll just say, a number somewhere in that range with a K after it, and that indicates Kelvin.
Great. And what about the startup and the warm-up time?
So the CFLs that we use are instant on. They turn right on, and then it takes about 20 seconds to warm up to the full light output. I know that's an issue that they had in the past, but as technology improves, that startup time is continually getting shorter and shorter. So
that's good to know.
Yeah.
And another thing that we hear often is about the different shapes of the CFL. So a lot of people don't like the curly Qs. What other shapes are available for people?
We also have candelabras, so the little guys that kind of look like a candle flame. Those are available. We don't actually carry those, unfortunately. You can get them in globes, again, not through us, but they are available. We carry the A-line frames that look just like a regular incandescent light bulb. We also carry some of the recessed ones, R30s and R40s. But if you are purchasing just for yourself, you can buy them in pretty much any shape that you'd be able to purchase a regular incandescent bulb.
So even like those globe shapes for my vanity?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Those are available, not through neighbor to neighbor, unfortunately, but they do exist. Yep.
And what about putting CFLs on my dimmable fixtures?
So CFLs you don't want to put in a dimmable fixture unless they're rated for a dimmable fixture. When you do buy a dimmable CFL, the technology is relatively equivalent to an incandescent. They don't dim quite as low as an incandescent would, but for the most part they work very well. Just one thing you want to keep in mind is to not put a regular CFL into a dimmable fixture. That's potentially a fire hazard. So
that's good to know.
You want to avoid that.
Okay, and what about using a CFL in an enclosed light fixture?
That is totally fine. We actually have people that ask us that pretty frequently. They don't get warm. If it gets too warm within the fixture, then it can shorten the lifespan. But considering that the price is pretty much equivalent to an incandescent at this point, even if it does shorten the lifespan just a little bit, it'll still be worth it in the energy savings. But for the most part, it's totally fine to put them in an enclosed fixture.
And what is the typical lifespan for a CFL?
Generally, they last between 5 and 7 years. So they're significantly lengthier lifespans than a normal incandescent.
And is that dependent on the brand, or?
Yes, we always encourage folks to purchase Energy Star rated bulbs. They kind of put all of the brands that they certify as Energy Star through pretty rigorous testing. So that ensures that they're going to last that, as long as they can. And it's also ensuring that you're getting a quality bulb, that the light output is what you're looking for, that the color temperature is what you're looking for. And another added bonus to buying Energy Star is that they have a 2-year warranty on them. So if your light bulb blows out due to manufacturer defect, as long as you have your receipt, they can replace it for you.
That's great. And you use Energy Star, and we use Energy Star for our
Yes, all of our light bulbs in neighbor to neighbor are Energy Star.
Great. And what about using CFLs in outdoor fixtures?
So CFLs tend to be temperature sensitive. So if it's very cold out, then they'll take a very long time to warm up. You can use them. We recommend that you buy what they're called cold rated CFLs. So they're specifically designed to be used outdoor in the cold temperature. So if you want to put CFLs outside, unless you're planning on having them on for a very extended period of time, we recommend to buy those cold rated ones.
Okay, and I can buy those at the same place?
Yeah, you should be able to find them at Home Depot or anywhere else that you purchase your CFLs.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about if CFLs are more expensive than incandescents, and if they are, why that is?
Sure. CFLs actually right now are about comparable in price to an incandescent light bulb. The state has actually done a lot to kind of subsidize the cost for that, to bring the price down to where it makes sense to purchase a CFL over an incandescent light bulb.
Great. And I know that there's a lot of concern out there about CFLs containing mercury. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about whether or not CFLs actually contain mercury, and if so, why and how much?
CFLs do contain just a very small amount of mercury. It's just under about equivalent to less than what you would eat in a can of tuna fish. So it's nothing to panic over. To give you a little bit of visual as to exactly how much is in CFL, period in 12-point font on a piece of paper is exactly how much mercury is within an incandescent.
Okay, so a little bit less than in my sushi?
Yes.
Okay. And can you talk to us a little bit about what people can do if they happen to break a CFL?
Sure. So if the light fixture is on when the CFL breaks, the mercury is released as a gas, the EPA just recommends that you clean up the gas or the glass with 2 pieces of cardboard and put it in a plastic bag. Open the windows for up to a half an hour, but it's nothing to panic over. If the bulb is off when it breaks, same deal, clean it up with 2 pieces of cardboard, put it into a sealable plastic bag. If there's any remaining bits of glass anywhere, pick it up with a moist piece of paper toweling and put it in the bag, and then bring that bag to your local Home Depot, Lowe's, Whole Foods, or your transfer station, and they should all recycle them for free.
Okay, so the 14 towns, they have a special box for CFLs, and that's located?
It depends on the town. Some of them have them in the town hall, some have them in the transfer station.
Okay, so it's the town hall in some cases, the transfer station, Home Depot, and also Whole Foods, right?
Yep, okay. And also Lowe's.
And Lowe's.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we talked a little bit about CFLs. Can you talk a little bit about the other technologies? I know that we saw an LED. Can you explain what that is and
Certainly,
why
yeah.
it's a good option?
LEDs are kind of the up-and-coming lighting technology. They're a really great option. They only use about 5% of the energy that an incandescent light bulb uses. And they already have dimmable technology is right on track. They have really nice lighting. The lighting quality is really good. And the length of the bulb is significantly longer. They are rated for 20 to 50,000 hours, which is usually somewhere between 25 and 30 years of life. The one downside is that they're significantly more expensive, but the price is coming down. I think about a year ago, the typical 60-watt LED was between $40 and $45 per bulb, and it's down to $30 to $35. But again, considering that they use so much less energy and they last so much longer, it's pretty much a one-time investment. So if you can make that investment, we definitely encourage folks to look into it.
Okay, so you said that the LEDs cost about like $35 and the CFLs cost?
About the same as an incandescent. So I think I've seen a 4-pack for about 99 cents for CFLs.
Wow, great. And what does LED stand for?
Light emitting diode.
Okay. And they have outdoor lights in different colors and
Yep. You can find them in a variety of color temperatures, dimmables, different shapes. Yeah.
So definitely a great investment if you have the money to do it. So for everyone who's at home, can you just remind everyone of where they can sign up for their free neighbor-to-neighbor lighting visit?
Yes, definitely. Definitely sign up for your lighting visit. We're only going to be around for a little while longer for the lighting program, but visit www.ctenergychallenge.com/lighting or give us a call at 860-372-4406 and we'll be able to schedule your lighting visit right away.
Great. Well, thank you, Erin.
Sure.
And just to wrap up, the Neighbor to Neighbor Energy Challenge is a pilot program. We are working with the local municipalities and local community groups, and we're always looking for volunteers. So if you want to volunteer in Wethersfield or one of our other 14 communities, you can always give us a call. Again, that number is 860-372-4406. That's it, and we look forward to talking to you guys next month.
See you next month.
Bye.